Steve, can you hear me?
I can, Jennifer.
Okay, because I just broke my headset.
Oh, you're coming through very loud and very clear.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the Anna Reynolds School Project Building Committee together. It is September 21st, 2023. It is 5:16, I think. First item is roll call. Lauren, do the roll call for us, please. I think we're gonna have trouble. I'll do a roll call, Lauren, because it's not coming through too good. So, Dr. Fletcher,
Here.
Counselor Rada,
Here.
Harold Dugan,
Here.
Jeremy Wetzel,
Here.
and Steve Woods. I did not miss anybody, right? So we have a quorum. We can move forward. Next item is public participation. And we have no one from the public. Next item is take action on prior meeting minutes. We have one, the meeting of Tuesday, September 7th. I would entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Carol, and a second by, I think it was Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item is take action on potential change orders. Rich, welcome back. I hope you had a good week off. I think it might have been a week ago, but
yeah, busy week. So got a few change orders here. We are still in the process of getting more going as we kind of wrap up everything we did over the summer. So the ones that we have for this meeting, PCO 123 is relating to the music room truss reinforcement. That's based on a field walkthrough with the structural engineer for the rooftop equipment that was on that roof. There was modifications that needed to be done to the contract details based on the existing conditions of the steel. So that value is presented here. PCO 156. There's hydraulic cement infills in the group lavatories that needed to be done that was not on the original contract documents. It wasn't known if that had a mud slab or not underneath the ceramic tile at the time of bidding. So a unit price was carried per square foot with the resilient flooring contractor. So based on the square footage of those bathrooms, the PCO 156 is generated to infill that hydraulic cement to bring the floor level back up for the ceramic tile. There are some areas on the contract documents that were indicated to have that, and we ended up doing some slab infills with the concrete for underground MEPs. So shortly we'll be chasing a credit on some square footages as well. So that once we kind of wrap up everything on phase 4, you guys will see that one come through as well. So that one's a little dynamic, but as of the work they did over the summer, there is an increase in the square footage. So that is presented with our PCO 156. PCO 158, the existing fire department connection was tight to the building. That's the Siamese connection that's to the left of the front door as you approach the building next to the cafeteria wall. The new exterior wall sits proud of the face of foundation, whereas the old exterior wall sat on top of. So the fire department connection had to be pulled further away from the building to allow the precast and the metal panel system to be installed. There's work associated with getting a new fire department connection and the piping underground to reconnect that. PCO 159, the E-wing elevated slab. We discovered that the E-wing, which is the southmost portion of this phase 4, was actually on an elevated slab as opposed to a slab on grade. And part of the work that we had to do involved chipping away pieces of the slab to do structural steel repairs and protection to the existing columns, requiring some extra form work because there's no earth behind it, being a elevated slab. So there was some additional carpentry hours associated with that. PCO 161 was for RFI number 138, the A-wing kitchen. The steel was conflicting with the chimney. The chimney was demoed over the summer. We reviewed that with the steel contractor and the structural engineer. Modifications are made to the framing up above ceiling at this serving line area where the chimney was. That modification resulted in a credit of $706. That's all we have for this presenting at this meeting.
I think you skipped 160.
I did. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Infill the abandoned ductwork in the lower level to the music room. We found ductwork last summer when we had set up the temporary nurse's office and the temporary admin space in what is now the new music room. When we did that, we discovered ductwork. We had to infill the slab. This time around, we had to infill the foundation wall, which is accessed from the crawl space below, because underground mechanical or underground plumbing had gone through that space. So there was additional concrete labor there for the carpenters to form up that wall.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Anyone have any questions on these? If not, I would entertain a motion that we approve PCO 123, 156, 158, 159, 160, and 161 in the amount of $14,762.37.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Carol. And a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Fletcher. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And no one's opposed. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next is take action on invoices. Eileen or Lauren, who wants to do them?
I think since Lauren's having issues, I can go ahead
Yeah,
and do.
you're right.
So
You probably should.
let me share my screen.
You don't have a lot.
Okay. So we have the monthly Meyer invoices for the tables and the books for August. Tables is $245.76, books $255.68. And then last week we voted, or not last week, excuse me, last meeting, we voted to go ahead and increase the purchase order for our environment. So we have the PCB testing for certain areas. And then we also have the monitoring fees, and this is all related to the hygienics and getting the PCB paints, asbestos, all of that out of the building. So for PCB testing, $23,056, and the monitoring fees for air, $15,355. And then for technology that we put in the B phase and A wing, the lobby, we have the Samsung displays, $3,429. Some other displays here, I can pull these up. All right, Samsung. The installation. And sorry, I can't see the amounts. 3. And this one was for 15. So a total of 18.
Yeah, $18 and $90 each.
Yeah. So we have 2 invoices for installation, $270 and $1,350. And also we have the CSG invoices for our services. That's $10,000, $28.25. So the total of invoices for this month is $53,989.69.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. Any questions for Eileen on any of that? But I would entertain a motion that we approve these invoices for payment, 2 from Myers, 2 from Enviromed, 3 from Whaley, and 1 from CSG in the amount of $53,989.69.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher, and seconded by Kim.
Sure.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Financial update. Eileen.
Okay, let's see. Share my screen again and go to. All right, so we are still tracking well for the budget. There are some additional items that I need to update and put some purchase orders in here, but everything that we have approved and that's gone in specifically for furniture and technology all has POs associated with it. So we're still tracking well for CSG. We just had an invoice here. The hazardous materials testing and monitoring. We're doing well. That's in Enviromed. Once we get some additional tri-state invoices, they are accounted for. I should have a few for next meeting ready. We're probably going to need to increase this balance as well, because we still have about a year of testing. The special inspections coordinator, that's Alan. We're doing fine there currently. Our commissioning agent, we are working on commissioning now, so that's IES. We have some commissioning that we're actually going to be working on Monday. Moving and storage costs, we're doing well there. Freeman, those are stormwater turbidity monitoring. FF&E and technology, like I said, we are tracking well with these. And then I do need to put in our last payments for construction, but we are also doing well there. And owner contingency, we're at $1,027,000. Anyone have any current questions?
Yes, Kim.
If you, Eileen, could you go back up to the top for
Sure.
me?
Yeah.
Just have a question on, where is it? The hazardous materials consultant and monitoring. I see we're a little bit over what we had budgeted. Are we going to need to readjust that? There'll be more coming in?
So I can show you, actually, we did fix this last time. I apologize. I didn't see that something didn't take on page 1, but we did approve last week a transfer
Okay.
of 70,000, and so that covers these 2 invoices. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I have to fix that. I apologize.
Oh, it just
No,
didn't.
I
populate itself.
probably forgot that we had made that change. So no, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Eileen.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing.
And Jennifer. You're up next. With your dispatch microphone. Hey, you know, the clarity is really good. You might want to use that all the time. Oh, you're muted though. It'll work better if you unmute.
It would. Yeah, with my hand holding the microphone. Can you see, because now I can't see the screen for some reason.
Yes.
Whoops,
Yes.
I just made it too big. Okay, so recent design team activity and our consultants has been fairly typical. Still have some RFIs for some conditions that that we find in the field. And some design modifications here and there when we need to coordinate with something. So we still have RFIs that we're addressing and still reviewing potential change orders and applications for payment. Most recently, there's been a lot of activity with the punch list. So we've been going into the recent completed phase that some of you walked through to make a list of minor work items, either minor things that are incomplete or need a bit of correction. So we're working with Newfield on that list. We did review those potential change orders that that Rich went over earlier and were approved, and we had already signed off on those and recommended them for your approval. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Jennifer?
I have a question, but I can't. Oh, there's the hand raise feature.
Sometimes they hide, Carol. I don't know why.
Yeah, I lost it, but now I see it. Oh, I lost it again. But anyway, my question is, now that the weather's getting cooler, we had talked earlier about closet space for the secretaries and other staff members who do not have a permanent classroom. Has anything changed with that? Has there been any thought of places to add a closet space for those individuals?
So I have that note still highlighted and I carry over every meeting in case you ask again. So after that meeting, I did have discussions with Jason Smith, for instance. I mentioned the concern. And to be honest, we haven't made an architectural change, like a construction change to add a closet or anything like that. I know that there is like a coat rack in the main office. I think that the issue, unfortunately, I think it should be brought to maybe the administration to look at that issue. I did discuss it. We're like, it's tight space.
Well,
Sorry,
we
go
had
ahead.
closets before. There were closets before, and now there aren't closets. So
Sure.
there's a large number of staff members. We have so many staff members.
Right.
And like I said, once the weather's starting to get cooler, people are going to be coming in and have no place to put their
Sure.
jackets or coats.
Sure. So I don't know if this is going down a rabbit hole too far, but during design and renovation, one of the things that ends up happening, especially for areas of a building like that was originally designed in the 50s, that Connecticut didn't even have a building code back in the 50s. There was a sort of fire code, but not really a building code. And there weren't accessibility regulations, all that kind of thing. So there were improvements made in like the main office area, for instance, to provide accessibility with an accessible toilet room, for students. Well, you know how like the nurse, well, I think the nurse, that area was improved so that there was accessibility in and around, the health or nurse suite. There are improvements made, and sometimes things do take more space, for instance, in a restroom or at clearances to get in and out of spaces. that wasn't accounted for in the 1950s. So like one of the things that happened in the main office was cutting up space a little bit differently and making sure that we had accessibility, making sure we had proper door clearances when we enter the conference room and offices, things like that. So, you know, it is possible that you had space before and wonder where did it go. I know that accessibility issues have something to do with that. We do go through and review, and it's tough to say, do we give space to student space, like the student commons, breakout areas, interventionists? There's a security office that wasn't had before, that wasn't in there before in the building. How do those spaces and program areas get accounted for? What happens to storage? It's not a wonderful answer. I apologize.
No,
but-
I mean, I just think that should have been taken into consideration when you were doing
Mhm.
the renovation, because that's a big thing. When people have to carry their things around, or there's not a lot of space in the classrooms to put it on a back counter, whereas before the renovation, there was more counter space where people could put their things if they happened to be in somebody's classroom. So I think it was a big oversight, and
Okay.
that's why I'm asking that question.
Okay. I hear you. We do go through all of the, even the casework, the counters, the cabinets, things in the classrooms, that does get all reviewed with different people to make sure that in the district, administratively with teachers, we go through all the layouts for the main office. What are we missing? Where can we fit things? There is quite a process that's gone through, but I can appreciate.
There was even a kindergarten
thought.
teacher who said
Yep.
she doesn't have a coat closet in her classroom. There's no place for her to hang her coat. The cabinets all have shelves in them. So it's just something
Okay.
that I was asked to bring up. So
Okay.
I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm just
I'm
gonna jump
sorry.
in quick. I'm gonna say that I will have a discussion with Jason, Lou, and Steve and see if there's anything that we can come up with to try and solve this situation.
Carol,
Thank you, Eileen.
Carol, just to be clear though, are we talking about just the teachers who aren't assigned a permanent classroom, or everybody?
Well, there was a kindergarten, I don't know what day it was, maybe Monday, saying that she has less storage space in her classroom now, less counter space than what she had before. And then she commented, she said, I don't even have a place to hang my coat because the closets all have shelving in them. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because they know I'm in the building committee. So
Okay.
occasionally somebody will come up and share their concerns with me.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, we'll take a look at it and see if there's something we can
Yep.
come up with somewhere.
So Carol, this is all the teachers and like paraprofessionals?
I'm not sure if teachers, this was one kindergarten teacher who spoke to me about the closet, but
Right.
other paraprofessionals don't have a place. And before the renovation, there was more counter space, so they could put their jacket on the back of a counter in the back of the room, or if they had a purse, they could put it there. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty significant concern, because the classrooms have less counter space than they had before.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
let us take a look at it, and hopefully we can discuss it further at our next meeting and maybe have some sort of resolution, or at least compromise of
Yeah.
trying to make some people happy.
I have some ideas on some things we could do.
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
my big concern is to make sure that the coats would be, I think it's gonna be an easier problem to solve, but the like
Mhm.
purses and that sort of thing, because now they need to be locked, right? So, But
Right.
People usually didn't lock them. They might leave them in somebody's classroom, like I said, on the back counter.
Mhm.
And if that was a classroom that they stayed at for most of the day, it was okay. But many people go from room to room. In the past, we had a closet in the teacher's room and in the main office. And then all teachers had closets in their classrooms where the teacher could hang their coat, put their purse, and then if they had a paraprofessional in the room, there was also room there.
Okay. We'll figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve, the other thing I'm thinking right off the top of my head, and I'm not sure that it works for everyone, but there are lockers as well. So
Right.
they may, if they wanted to lock up their purses, maybe they'd be able to use a student locker.
Okay.
We have a
Well,
teacher workroom that hooks or shelving, could be added to. There's a few things that I think we could look at.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sure we can come up with a good resolution, Carol.
Mhm.
Make everybody
Thank you.
satisfied. I won't use the word happy. Okay, just satisfied. All right, any other questions for Jennifer? Then we'll move on. Owners, project managers update. Eileen. I apologize. for-
And news came up. I lost my screen. All right, so we've this week we did not have an OAC meeting. We had a team meeting. Lots of things to discuss internally now that we are complete with Phase B and moving on to the kitchen stage and the custodian area. We had a move meeting today. We're looking forward to all the commissioning and things that need to happen in the kitchen to get that up and running, ready for around an October 25th delivery. There's also a lot going on in E&F wing. I went walking through after our move meeting today. Just lots going on there. All the precast is up and they're starting to, the infills are happening for E&F wing, plumbing, HVAC going up. So I'm sure Rich will show you some photos, but we're definitely moving along and also addressing the issues that we have left from B wing. As Jennifer stated, they're working on the punch list as well. So we have another meeting tomorrow. We're reviewing change orders, and then I'm sure we'll go over some other issues, and then maybe we could talk about a solution for coats as well.
Okay.
Anyone have any questions, comments?
I don't see anybody's hand going up. Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you.
Owners, no, I'm sorry, construction managers update. Rich.
Yeah, so like Eileen and Jennifer both said, we are working on the punch list items and our work to complete items from the last phases that turned over at the end of summer. So just being the very condensed schedule that it was, we got all the work done that we needed to open the building to get the students back in was our obvious major milestone there. So now we're getting in off hours. One of the things we're doing is this coming Monday, students are out, school is closed. So our contractors are going to be getting back into some of these occupied areas. If you've walked the building, I'm sure you've seen some of the incomplete work we do have in the lobby, some areas that drywall still needs paint, acoustic wall panels need to go up in the cafeteria and the music room. So just because of how condensed our schedule was over the summer, we unfortunately did not get to those. But we are working and jumping back in there as we can. Part of that also is the punch list. So any of the work that was deemed complete and there are any sort of issues that come up as far as workmanship quality or material defects, we're also jumping back in to correct any of those issues. Our next major milestone that we're going for is the kitchen and the stage and the corridor behind the stage and between the music room and the stage. So we're working through those areas. We also went through the courtyard. We've gone through and removed a lot of the material out of that space. The grading has gone in there as well as some seating. So we should be seeing in the next couple of weeks some grass coming up in those areas. It is hydro seeded. We did get a large rain event right after, so we'll see what happened to the seed. It might have washed away, and we might have to do a little bit of reseeding in those areas, as well as some other areas around the site. So we attempted to clean that up as best we can, but we will be working in that courtyard through the end of the project, as all the phases from this point on all are touching that courtyard. Like I said, we're working through the kitchen. That is an end of October turnover date. Plumbing rough-in is going on now. Plumbing is being coordinated with the existing 2 reuse and the new kitchen equipment. So plumber's been in contact with the kitchen equipment supplier on any dimensions he needs for his rough-in. So that work is ongoing. The custodian space and the custodian restrooms are the plumbing in-wall rough-in has been completed and inspected by the town building inspector. The mason is in there now blocking up those walls, again, for this October turnover date. Up on the stage, we're getting ready for the millwork and the stage curtain track, as well as the operable partition track to be installed. Those are all scheduled to come up in the next couple weeks here. So the carpenter's been in there, drywalled everything. In-wall rough-in has been completed, and the overhead rough-in is completed as well. As you can see here, the lights are turned on the stage right now. So this area we're working in, as well as that corridor I said, are for that October turnover date. So those are our big focuses right now on getting the trades going through. In the gym, we did finally complete all of the PCB paint removals in those spaces. We're working through gym wall pads have been field measured for release. Any mechanicals in this space are also starting. The roof is scheduled to start in here tomorrow as well. They've mobilized their equipment up under the roof today. Like I said, they've got material and equipment on the roof ready to rip and remove. This is over the kitchen as well as the gym. So that is a couple day activity, obviously weather dependent. We'll be keeping it weather tight as they go to rip and replace this entire roof section. E and F wing stage 4, we do have the framing and sheathing going on top of the precast panels, as you can see here. So the precast drives the exterior wall framing, which drives the parapet, which is what's driving our roof. Right now, the roof is scheduled to start on E and F wing stage 4 on October 9th. So that's the date we're still holding for them. Precast is on both sides. We did have a quality control issue as far as the precast color went. So 3 of the panels were actually swapped out today. They recast the panels to correct the color issue. So there is obviously field quality control work going on as well to make sure we aren't getting too far ahead of a bad product install. So that was a catch by the mason, and he did swap those out. Obviously there's no cost associated with that. That's on the precast manufacturer. So didn't have too much impact on that. He was able to swap out and remove those panels. So the framer will be continuing on to that side shortly. Inside, we did have, this is a picture from last week, the underground plumbing, the underground shear wall footings and piers have been installed. Since this photo was taken last week, these areas have been obviously backfilled, rebarred, and concrete has been placed. Again, here's the electrical room and the toilet room in the F wing, which is by the elevator. Those slabs have since been poured in. So They've started with the wall layout in E and F wing as well. Here you can see we do have overhead mechanicals are in place. The plumbing and fire protection and the boiler loop lines all run through stage 4 to feed what is stage 5, which is our last phase, the media center wing. So we have all those, these systems are all live right now, keeping the occupied area fed. So fire protection is already roughed in above ceiling in this wing as well. So we are very well underway with the overhead mechanicals and all the underground. We've got door frames going in. The mason is getting set to start blocking up these walls. These are at the restrooms and the electric rooms at the beginning of F wing, and the carpenter is laying out for the remaining walls down the rest of the wing. You can see here, we do have all the air handlers, the individual classroom air handlers are all set in on the slab and being dispersed around the rooms. The overhead ductwork is in a large portion of those rooms as well for those air handlers. We're working on getting a crane pick set up for September 29th, I believe was the date that we set for the rooftop equipment. So those dates are all in progress. Another thing we're doing on Monday, I think Eileen touched on it earlier about commissioning. We do have some startups for the rooftop equipment that's over in B wing, which was our phase 2 work. The air handlers were already started for the cooling season. We're now getting them on Monday. The startup is occurring for the heat. So we'll be ready to go when we need to have those running. October 15th is the deadline on that for the state. So we'll have that up to September 25th is our startup date. So we'll be ready to go in advance of that date. So we're continuing to work. We do have some guys coming in on Saturday as well to get some other work done, including a gas shutdown and tying in the gas for that startup on Monday with the air handling equipment. Does anybody have any questions?
Carol?
I'm usually really quiet, loaded with questions. Another thing that was brought up was, I think it was a week ago when we had that torrential downpour and the waterfall feature was back again at Anna Reynolds. So I'm just curious as to what might have happened with that and how is that going to be resolved?
I believe what you're referring to is over by the media center at the top of the ramp.
I thought it was in the new wing.
It's right where the new wing ties into the media center wing. There was water, I know, coming in that area. The roof drains that are over there, that's still the old roof. The roof drains appear to be clogged. The old roof is a gravel roof. So it appears that the gravel actually, because of the torrential amount of rain that came down, ended up clogging that pipe for the downspouts, for the roof drains. When that clogged, it caused it to back up and get underneath a lip where the old roof and the new roof meet. So we have not done we're still using the old plumbing roof drains over in that wing of the building. When we do the new MEP rough-in that wing of the building, that drain line will get proper pitch and that should carry everything away.
Okay, because people were, when they saw that, they were like, oh no, we thought this was going to be fixed. So that's good. I will let them know.
No, it should not be a continuing issue. And I believe that the roof drain was cleared out, or the pipe was cleared out so that any of the gravel that wasn't there should not be an issue in the future.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right, thanks, Rich. Next item is any other business pertinent to committee, which I don't think we have any. There's nothing listed underneath our item here, but Rich, how come we don't we usually do a payment app, don't we, on this meeting?
We do. We had to make a couple modifications to it, so it's not ready for this meeting. We'll have it for the first meeting of next month.
Okay. Tell Tom, don't yell at me, then.
Oh, he'll yell at me for it.
I'll get the phone call, I already know. Okay, back to public participation. think we have nobody from the public, but I'll check. Oop,
There are no members.
thank you. Comments by members, committee members, anybody else? Carol, you've been quiet all afternoon. Would you like to say something? All right, motion to adjourn.
No, I do have a
Oh,
question.
you have one thing?
I
Okay.
do have one thing. This is just my own curiosity. The hallways, are they narrower than they were before the renovation? Or are they this, or do they just appear narrower? In wing, the kindergarten, first grade wing,
Yeah, they are the same width.
they're the same width. They just seem so much narrower.
Those are the existing walls.
They are.
The door pockets were rebuilt, but the main
Wow.
walls are original. So
I was just curious because they just appear so
Oh.
much narrower.
And here's an interesting,
unfortunate.
here's an interesting tidbit for you, Carol. Because it was built as a middle school, they're wider than they normally are in an elementary school.
Really?
Because that's one of the reasons we got some of our space waivers. That came up in one of the meetings that we had with the state.
That's interesting. And the hallways, I know it's the same footprint, but they look so much longer when you're walking down because of the
They do
color.
definitely look longer. I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah, they look good. They look good. But all right, thanks. I was just curious about that. Now we can adjourn.
Thank you. So the motion was made by Carol. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And no one's ever opposed. Good night, everybody. Thanks again.
Good night. Thank
But have a
you.
good night.
Thank you.
You too.